Xbox treated us to another mini show which gave us a closer look at some of our most highly anticipated titles, plus a few brand new reveals to add to the list. So let's do a recap on everything that we learned from the October show. We'll start our video looking at the new game reveals and the sequel to 2019's acclaimed third-person adventure, Spirit of the North. The original game had players scampering through an icy landscape as they led an ordinary red fox on the adventure of a lifetime. With a story told entirely through environment and atmosphere, foxes can't talk after all, even magic ones. The Spirit of the North was one of the most spellbinding experiences of 2019, and the sequel looks like it'll be enchanting us all over again. Naturally, details are pretty thin on the ground, but we do know that there's a feathery fellow helping out our foxy friend this time around, and that Spirit of the North 2 will be coming to Xbox Series X and S.
We also got a look at a brand new title about a person named Icaro, a feisty, flame-fisted character who apparently will not die. And they do look pretty hard to take down, to be fair. The trailer showed off some fast-paced third-person action as our hero zipped between enemy attacks before battering them with an incinerating uppercut, which is also what I would do in that situation. With bags of cyberpunk style and some slick-looking combat, Icaro is definitely one for the Xbox Series X and S gamers to keep an eye on.
On top of these brand new reveals, we also got a fresh look at a whole bunch of exciting upcoming titles, starting with the remaster of the legendary stealth action game Metal Gear Solid Delta: Snake Eater. Built with the Unreal Engine 5, the jungle has never looked lusher than it does in the new version. The leafy green environment puts a completely different spin on the genre as players hunt down local critters to restore their health and learn to camouflage themselves amongst their surroundings. From its unique mechanics to its legendary boss fights, including a famously cheesable one against a very sleepy old man, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is a true Hall of Famer. Definitely worth checking out whether you played it back in the day or you're being welcomed to the jungle for the very first time.
And here's a game you can get your hands on a whole lot sooner, Alan Wake 2. The long-awaited sequel to the cult classic psychological horror game comes out on the 27th of October, and the new trailer confirms that we were right to be extremely stoked and just a little bit terrified of what it has in store. It might be Alan's name on the cover, but the show is actually focused on the game's other protagonist, FBI agent Saga Anderson. While Wake is trapped in the dark place, Anderson will be exploring our world, and as the developers explained, this basically turns Alan Wake 2 into 2 games in one package deal. When you're playing as Anderson, the game becomes a full-blown survival horror, where ammunition is scarce and enemies are decidedly unscarce. But just staying alive isn't enough. You'll also have to use Anderson's unique mind place ability to do some good old-fashioned detective work and figure out how each new piece of information fits into the bigger picture. And trust me, it isn't pretty. The broadcast showed us some brand new gameplay of what Saga has to go through inside an old folks home, and that is terrifying. In short, you're going to need some sharp wits and steady nerves if you want to take on the horrors of Alan Wake 2.
Another major release that's just around the corner is RoboCop Rogue City, which is set to arrive on November 2nd. I mean, he wasn't exactly going to sneak up on us, was he? This next-gen shooter will put players in the shiny metal shoes of RoboCop himself as he tries to restore order to a city that has, as the name suggests, gone rogue. They'll have a vast arsenal of weapons at their disposal, and the new trailer showed off some spectacular action, taking full advantage of the Xbox Series X's hardware to deliver pristine 4K resolutions and some gorgeous ray tracing effects. Honestly, the game's tech is almost as impressive as RoboCop himself.
After that futuristic adventure, the show decided to dip back into the past for the medieval strategy game Manor Lords. Designed with extreme historical accuracy in mind at every turn, Manor Lords challenges players to take an old-timey village and build it into something more. That means carefully managing your resources, looking after your villagers, and when the time is right, expanding your domain by taking over other lands. Every decision you make will have to be carefully measured. This is a dynamic, realistic world where expanding too fast can cripple the local ecosystem and leave you without a food supply, and where even a victorious victorious battle can leave your economy in ruins. With its incredible levels of detail and intricate mechanics, Manor Lords is sure to delight history buffs and hardcore strategy fans alike when it comes to PC Game Pass on April 26, with a console release on the way afterwards.
We know that Dungeons of Hinterberg will be coming straight to Xbox Game Pass next year, and that it's going to let us kick some cel-shaded monster butt out in the mountains. But there's also a much more laid-back, social side to the game, which the show gave us a proper look at. There are bars, cafes, and restaurants to visit out in the game's charming mountain town, as well as plenty of interesting people to meet in each of them. Strengthen your relationships to them and you'll gain some buffs to help you out in those less friendly interactions. I mean, friendship is its own reward, of course, but who says no to a free HP boost? We can't wait for this to cable car its way into Game Pass next year, so for more info on this new drop and everything else coming to Xbox, give us a like and subscribe. It's the best buff that you could ask for.
Speaking of which, arriving day one on Game Pass next year, Still Wakes the Deep will make you seriously thankful that you ultimately decided not to pursue a career in oil rig maintenance during the mid-1970s. Because we've all thought about it, didn't we? The twisted minds behind Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs are back with another chilling first-person adventure, this time marooning the players on an oil rig in the middle of a vicious storm in the North Sea, with no way for them to contact the outside world. And if that wasn't bad enough, it turns out they're not alone out there either. The new trailer gave us another look at the oil rig that players will be exploring, and it is seriously impressive, both in the terms of how stunningly realistic it is, and the overwhelming sense of dread that its shadowy corridors inspire. The developers have drawn inspiration from a huge range of horror films, including classics like The Thing and modern day hits like Annihilation, and the end result is something truly unique and quite terrifying. For more on that, check out the Wire article all about it using the QR code on screen for a post-video read. We'll be keeping an eye out for more details on this one as they float to the surface, and that goes for all the other massive titles heading to Game Pass too. So don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell.
Next up, we had a game that really knows how to bring the house down, The Finals. This free-to-play team shooter gives players the chance to compete in the world's most exhilarating game show as they face off inside a series of virtual arenas based on real-world locations. And the key thing here is that each of these battlegrounds is extremely destructible, opening up all kinds of tactical possibilities for players who don't mind ruining the picture-perfect scenery with a few grenades or the odd wrecking ball. Knowing that the roof could come crashing in on you at any moment completely changes the way you play, and as the new trailer showed off, it also makes for some pretty spectacular firefights in the process. We can't wait for this one to come crashing into our library, especially as it'll be completely free to play.
Arriving in 2024, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is set to continue the story of Ichiban Kazuga as he takes a trip over to Hawaii. But this new trailer shows a whole new side to the game that looks like it'll be far more peaceful. Well, slightly more peaceful anyway. Don Doko Island offers players the chance to manage their very own island community. Gather resources, buy and build furnishings, and slowly put together the holiday resort of your dreams. And once it's up and running, you can start attracting visitors and working out how to ensure each one has the holiday of a lifetime. Even if that does mean fending off the odd group of pirates, pigs, and ill-tempered construction workers. Yeah, don't worry, it's still got that Yakuza weirdness. Bit of a busman's holiday, I guess, but we still can't wait to head to Don Doko Island on January 26th. Watching the old and new collide has always been one of the most amazing things about Ark, a survival game where you can build yourself a laser pistol and then fire it from the back of a Triceratops. And so it just feels right that we're getting a cutting-edge version of the 2015 hit with Ark Survival Ascended. The game has been completely rebuilt for next-gen consoles using the Unreal 5 engine, which basically means that every nook and cranny of its prehistoric world now looks utterly sublime.
What was your favorite trailer from the October show? Hit the comments to let us know, and remember to subscribe to hear all the latest updates about all these awesome games. We'll see you next time.